Hello, Dave.
Hi.
It's really good to see you. And just want to say thank you very much for joining us today to talk about your experience of working with myself and with Frankly. So, do you want to start by telling us, introduce yourself and the company and how we started working together?
Yeah, sure. I'm Dave Jones. I'm the managing director of a company called Pullman Fleet Solutions, and they are a specialist heavy goods repair and maintenance company, national company across the UK. 13 locations that support some of the biggest logistic companies, supermarkets, and transportation companies in the UK. Uh,
Brilliant.
in respect of working with Frankly, that I think that was just over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago actually, and that came into two parts. The first part was some personal coaching for myself as I transitioned through, certain roles within the business, but then also around leadership development and support for some of the projects that we were doing in the organisation at the time.
I think it's actually 2 years. I was thinking about this before
Two
I came
years.
on this call. It's actually, I think we started, about 2 years ago. Um,
Okay.
how time flies when you're having fun, eh?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So before we started working together, how would you describe where you were professionally and the challenges that the business was facing before we started working with Frankly?
Yeah, I think the first part of it was centered around our group business, or so Revis Group, and that we were going through a significant transformation at the time. We had a changing customer base. We had a changing, we were developing new strategies. We had a lot of procedures that were being amended, and technology changing in the organisation. So that created one element of the project, which is about helping our teams through that change process. Um, but then also, I moved into the managing director role within Pullmans, and that was the first time I'd carried a role of that level. The coaching and the support for myself to be able to transition into that role effectively, and to be able to help the business that I was running get to the next stage of its growth journey. So
Yeah. Right. I mean,
two distinct, projects.
sorry, you've had quite the
No, I was
journey
just saying.
over the last 2 years, really. You've like even just from since the time I've known you, the transition from the different roles that you've kind of been on quite a fast trajectory.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It has been quite a challenging time. I have had to learn quite quickly. And I think what was really important with some of the work that we did, it was really providing the tools to be able to navigate my own personal change journey, but also supporting the team through theirs. Identifying areas that, you're not even aware that you need to work on, but also to be more authentic as a leader, to show vulnerability. And I think that was one of the biggest learning experience for me around vulnerability and leadership, how challenging it is, but also how rewarding it can be for yourself and those around you.
Yeah, when you get it right.
Yes,
When you get
exactly.
it right in a way that's authentic for you.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if you had to summarize the motivation for, because there'll be a lot of leaders out there that'll just be in the middle of some of the challenges you're facing and probably not thinking about getting support for themselves and not calling in a bit of help, when help would actually be really useful for them. So if you had to summarize the motivation for you, coming to work with Frankly, you specifically, and then maybe you could speak to the benefits for the team as well. What do you think were the key motivations?
Um, the key motivations of working with Frankly, again, I'll refer to the two separate scenarios. So supporting our teams in their leadership development, supporting them in to be able to manage change effectively, and supporting them in understand the strategy and the journey we were going was absolutely critical. This was a relatively big team. I think if I remember rightly, it was circa 30 leaders
Yeah,
that
yeah,
frankly were helping us work with. That's a big community of people that were overseeing a significant amount of people underneath them. So time was not on our side. We had to do this change program quickly. So therefore, you're only ever going to execute that effectively through the people that are, across the grassroots of the business. So it was important that they had the toolkit, um, for them to help their teams succeed. And then on the other side of the coin, my own personal coaching, I think that there is some strength in putting your hand up and saying, "Do you know what? I need help. I don't know all the answers." I've spoken about vulnerability. I do think that is one of the leadership superpowers that people really do need to focus on, because if you are vulnerable as a leader, you are open to you're open to development, you're open to new ideas, new ways of operating. That can only ever be a good thing. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
If you and I think my teams then will my team has looked to me and said, well, if he can demonstrate vulnerability, if he can say, do you know what, I don't have all the answers and I need help, then that gives me the confidence that I can do the same thing. And that's when you create high performing teams, in my view.
Lovely. And what do you, if you had to summarize the impact of our work together in terms of the results that it achieved, how would you summarize that?
So I think I would summarize it in two ways. So if we start with the topic that everyone talks about when you talk about business, and that's business performance, we have seen strong business performance. We're delivering the budget that we've set out. All of the indicators of our performance is on an upward trajectory. So if you think about it from a P&L perspective, a business perspective, it's working really well. But it's not just about that. It's all the other elements of the performance that we're seeing. So I'm a much more confident leader. I know that if I experience challenges or scenarios that I haven't experienced before, I've got the tools in my toolkit to be able to navigate and deal with them. So that generates the confidence. But I've also got a stable, high performing team. So they then have the tools to help them to be successful, to help them navigate through all the challenges. Great cohesion, we've got great communication styles, and great engagement. So it's all been a
Brilliant.
really positive experience.
One of the things I've loved about you and about working alongside you is even from like day one, you've always had like that knowing belief that when you put people alongside profits, your profits soar. Like for you, it wasn't
Yes,
profit, profit, profit. You were like profit, but we have to do it through the people. And they've always been
yes.
such a strong bond for you. And I've really admired and been inspired by the way that you've really held that, because you've carried it through the whole journey that we've had together.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I've always said that leaders of teams have a very admirable job to do, and also a very influential job to do. You've got the capacity to improve people's careers and their personal circumstances, which impacts their families and things like that. So, I've always treated that job with the utmost importance because of the impact it can have on people around you.
Yeah, it's a huge ripple effect, isn't it? And you can get
Mm.
that right or get that wrong and anything in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So if you had to summarize, I keep asking you to summarize, if you had to summarize the impact of working with Frankly, so the kind of like versus that if you'd not done it, and from anybody else out
Mm.
there that might be thinking, oh, could we do with a bit of support? How would you summarize the impact that the having that extra support, that outside lens has given for you and then for your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think that nobody has all the answers, and our world is changing significantly and at pace. And you turn the TV on, and there's always something happening in the world that could impact what you do as an individual and how your businesses operate. So, I think, as I've said, it's the confidence that you can navigate through challenging scenarios. It's the ability to draw on the tools and the training and the coaching and the support to be able to help navigate through all these challenges and help your team navigate through all these challenges. But also, what I would say is that in working with Frankly, this isn't something that you do when you close the book on that chapter or close the page on that chapter. Sorry, this is something is there continuously when you need it. So
Mm.
as your business changes, as new circumstances materialize, okay, I do need support, and I know where exactly I can go for that support. So
Yeah.
that's how that's been my experience of it.
And all that wisdom and awareness from both the one-to-one work and the teamwork. I mean, it still lives inside you, doesn't it? It's still that's the beauty of coaching. It's very much about empowering you so that you have those tools rather than you having to,
Absolutely.
come to someone like me or another consultant or a coach to get them.
Yeah.
I love that ripple effect. I think is really important. Can you see how
Yeah.
it's going to help looking forward into the future? So, yeah, I think we're already speaking to that point about actually there's some work has gone, and just because our work together has stopped for now, it doesn't mean that the benefit of the work has stopped. Like, can you see how that's still working inside the organization today?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going through quite significant change in the business today. We separated the business from its parent group company, and that created a significant amount of work in a very short space of time that needed people to be really razor sharp on their execution. And we asked a lot of people, and I think that the support we've had from Frankly has helped that be successful. And helped ensure the team were supported and looked after. And I think moving forward, you see some of the activities and some of the support mechanisms that we had through Frankly of being useful, moving forward, and will always continue to be useful. So
Brilliant.
I think we've got a cohesive, engaged, and motivated team, and that's born out of the work that we've done over the past 2 years.
Yeah, fantastic. So, final question. You find yourself in the pub and you're chatting to another managing director, and he's telling you he's got some problems. What would be the problems and the challenges that he was facing that would make you go, oh, you need to speak to Frankly?
Again, I'll keep using the two stages. If you want to invest in your people, you want to give them a level of awareness that they didn't have. If you want to give them some support and training that they don't have, some tools to excel at what they do, both professionally and personally, then I would definitely speak to Frankly. And then concurrently, if you want to be the best leader that you can be, if you want to evolve as a leader, if you want to learn new skills and new ways of operating and how you can support your team more effectively, again, go to Frankly. So
Yeah, brilliant.
team and personal development would absolutely be what I would say.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for giving me like the gift of your time here today, and your insights, to summarize, to help, hopefully it will help other people. And also just to say what a joy it is working with you. I've absolutely loved working with you, and hope we get to work together again in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been my pleasure as well. Thank you.